Next, I'd like to introduce Ted Verani from Wappier with his talk, Maximizing in-app purchase revenue through localized pricing and promotions.
So hi, my name is Ted Verani. I'm head of business development for Wappier. Welcome to my talk, Maximizing IAP revenues through localized pricing, special offers, or how I like to think, making 20 to 40% more incremental revenue just by pricing your products right. And a little bit why this important topic, I think maybe it's intuitively obvious, right? Pricing is kind of a pillar in terms of, how you make revenue within your game, but also, as we know in this mobile gaming space, it's just incredibly hard to acquire players for your game, and it's increasingly so, right? And it's, we know that a third of your players, are going to come once and then not return your game. So whenever someone's at that point of considering a purchase, it's critical. Like, what's the right price, right time, right location right location for someone to get the price right. And I'd say now it's even getting all the more important too, with what Apple's done around data privacy, making it even harder now to acquire players in the game. It's even more critical. You get people in that point of purchase to get that right. And I mentioned because right now we're living in a world really where most developers, game developers, offer a one-size-fits-all approach to pricing. We know that different people respond to different prices differently. But again, going to the thing earlier, if we can get pricing right, that's going to be the key to maximizing your profit and revenue for the game, right? Let's face it, making a game, that's hard. That's one that's to pay and monetize, and in live ops, from the best performing games, huge amount of time, effort, money invested in it. But one small change just to a number in your game can make all the difference on whether someone makes a purchase. A little about a company, Wappier, right? So, fundamentally, we're an AI company. We have a robust technology built around machine learning algorithms that allows us to predict and understand player behavior, processing about 4 billion events, a day. That expertise we have is then built on top of some closed loop end-to-end solutions around pricing optimization, today's topic, primarily, but also engagement application solutions that we built on top of this AI engine too. And then now going forward, we're taking a lot of what's worked in mobile gaming, applying them to NFT gaming, as well, and they even created some, NFT only type solutions around even a marketplace. Fortunate to work with a lot of really great companies and some great, games out there. So that's kind of experience going to share some. So this is, less commercial about us, but I'm going to talk about what we're doing, but also trying to emphasize some areas that you guys should be doing this yourself. So two main things that we do typically with a customer. First things we want to do is global pricing. Basically, we want to auto adjust prices on a per country basis according to local market demand. Once you fix your prices on a per country basis, then you want to consider promotional pricing, right? That's usually the next phase we have with partners, to where now we're moving beyond just sort of, per country pricing to think about per user pricing, but just for special offers. And that's an important point, special offers within there. I'm going to get to that in a little bit detail. So again, these are solutions that we offer to customers, but again, something you can do. So first, global pricing. Why is this important? I guess that's usually this question. Do you localize your game? Right? Do you localize it for different languages, for you, right? So, that's hard, so you're going through the time and effort, maybe paying some money to actually localize your game for another language. Even some people going further, even like making distinctions between the Castilian Spanish versus Mexican Spanish, or even going further. And I encourage it, localizing some of the content. Some of the the best performing games are doing that, and yet pricing, is not localized, right? And so why aren't you localizing your pricing? Because simple truth is there's no one size fits all approach to pricing, but that's what most people are doing. You're pricing your game for the United States, and then you're letting app stores do currency rate conversion for other countries. Simply put, you're mispriced majority of the world, and not just like Mexico or Brazil, it's like that, but also even like the UK, Germany, the higher income countries. It's just because the price is correct in the United States, it's wrong to think that even for high income countries, that's necessarily the right price. Everyone has a different notion of willingness to make a purchase within there. That said, pricing, to the demand curve, understanding local price elasticities, and it takes a lot of deep understanding of local markets. Going further, now creating hundreds or even potentially thousands of price SKUs, for a game, that's a challenging requirement, right? Because it's not just about changing your prices, once, but then it's actually about managing your prices ideally on a monthly basis for your game. But again, and as mentioned earlier, I'm just going to repeat this probably a couple times today, but country-specific pricing is a fast and easy way to drive incremental revenue. Literally, we have we have customers be live in days with us, and then they spend probably an hour a month working with us in terms of getting reports. So, I like to say you can be involved as much or as little as you want in terms of pricing. So, our job, we like to think, in terms of revenue optimization, everything we do is try to help people make more money outside of the core gameplay, and it starts with pricing for us. So I get this question a lot, like, so Ted, is it a Big Mac index? Like, is somebody like someone like zeroed in on some sort of secret recipe for how to get pricing right now? I don't even know where that came from, frankly, but or even like saying like this, it's like Big Mac in some parts of the United States is 99 cents, very cheap, type of thing. Again, high income country, and you go to some countries, and I think it's date night food or something. It's more expensive than say the local food, which frankly I'd rather have the local food than a Big Mac. So fast answer, no, it's not a Big Mac index, here for you. That said, if you're going to do nothing else, for your game, probably lowering your price for some countries like India, Russia, Brazil, Indonesia, where you have a lot of low price, it's better than just charging US prices, if that's what you're doing. So that would be something to consider. But here's what we do, and what you can do too, because this is publicly available information, right? This is so what we want to do is we want to look at GDP data. We want to look at when that's also currency rates, understand exchange rates. We want to monitor that. We want to look at the idea of how it's changing, over time, definitely on a monthly basis. And not just macroeconomic data, microeconomic data. We're going to notion of household purchasing power. There we are on that also. But really, then becomes more important than is game statistics information. We want to layer in on top of. So it's not just GDP, with per population. So GDP on the gamer population within a country. So that's actually what's really more important too. How you get there, also affluent signals, device information with smartphone penetrations, affluent signal, your ratio of iOS versus Android. But even these all come together. We just all this data because it's not about data from your game. It's about a lot of data outside your game first to get the global pricing. But even genre can actually make a difference. We've seen on different countries. So some countries, role-playing strategy, like Middle East, North Africa region, for other reasons, strategy games are very popular. Social casino games, those are actually really popular in more English Commonwealth, countries out there too. So that's an opportunity to maybe make some considerations for price on that one. Our case, what we want to do is we do some econometric models. We want to run data. We're going to do some multi-armed bandit tests. It's not just A/B testing your way to get price, but doing some multivariate testing framework on top of it. But making those changes directly, so you can do this particularly within Google Play. You can get very granular on a per country basis. You can make changes yourself. We have a platform that allows us to do it in a very scalable way because we're talking making hundreds of thousands of changes on a per game basis. We work with a lot of games right now. You can also do this in iOS. So it's not just, some people think that you can only change prices in Google Play. That's not true. That said, I will say Android, it's probably the first place to go because you can get more granular within there. You get some opportunity to have a better impact on price. Also, greater diversity of devices in Android. Right? You have your low end to high-end phones there too, so that's important. So you can, influence. Let's face it, iPhone. No matter where you are in the world, that person has money. So less an influence signal, though there are other signals that are important. You can do iOS, and we do get good impact also on iOS too. We do. Obviously, you have the tier system you need to take consideration. Apple's supportive of this. They have alternate price tiers available. That's the only reason that So some people, excuse me. Some people say, "Oh, you can't do that." Apple, they won't let you. No, that's not true. They got alternate price tiers out there. They wouldn't, they wouldn't have these alternate price tiers if it was not something as an option. You do need to add a couple lines of code into the game. It's literally 2 lines of code that we have our developer partner. In case when we work with people in Android, zero engineering is involved. So that's great. But in case of with iOS, you need an identifier for the country. So you need to know that someone's coming in from the UK to serve whatever alternate price tier you might be sent to that. Because then you pull, so it's within the Apple system, it works fine. We do need game data. You will need game data rather also yourself. So but it's just transactions data because you're going to then because what you need once you start doing some tests at different price points, you need to know whether it's working or not, right? And that's where understanding the transactions at the end of the month, measuring the impact on the price changes becomes very important. And time permitting, I can talk about how we do that with out in SDK. We have a platform again, to do this because it's skillless. But my point here is that you do need to find a way to manage your price SKUs because pricing is not a set it once and done proposition. It needs to be something that you go back to and revisit. Because even in the beginning, when you set your prices for the US and currency rate changes, so actually it doesn't adjust with currency rate. So it starts off bad, it gets worse over time to how long the game has been live within the game. So one point you can say is that Reality is that, some of those high spending folks in some countries will now get a price discount, right? Suddenly you're going to lower the price across the board on a per country basis. That is okay. What you're going to see is a big increase in payer conversion, big increase in the number of transactions. You're going to have a lot more people converting, over into a payer. You're going to have a lot more people, they're making, more transactions, smaller purchase amounts on an individual basis, but that's going to translate to a big increase in overall IAP revenue. In fact, I would say it's actually now going to make your game healthier. You're not going to be less dependent on this handful of whales and worried that they're going to leave your game, right? You actually have a broader reach of people and more engaged. Your improvement in retention, we see that all across the board in people. Your retention is also going to improve as you've now correctly priced your product on a per country basis. Okay, I said we work with a lot of people, so share some examples of face-to-face. I like this example. It's one of the earliest games working weeks, and this, I guess it speaks to my point about it's not a set it once and done proposition. We launched with this game in 2018. It's a popular poker game. Social casino is part of a $1 billion corporation, has real money gaming. The right reason they won't let us name them. But what you see there is that I said earlier, it's like Peru, 138% increase in revenue. Hungary, Romania, over 100% increase in revenue. Again, we kind of would expect maybe some lower income countries to see some sizable increases, and that's true. But check out Germany, 81%, or Sweden, 22%, Japan, 45%. Again, taking that off that peg of US dollar can have a real impact in high income countries. Even Canada, right, which is lower percentage increase, but this game had a really high Canadian dollar revenue base to begin with. So 19% on pretty good revenues is quite substantial. And it's the same effort, right? Essentially. Gin's journey point here is I was talking about earlier about localization, right? This for them, great game, hit on chains, very popular, that's really high in the charts. But they felt like they really saturated the US market on particularly the UA side of things. So for them, the growth initiative was like, hey, let's just localize for other countries. And this is a very content text-oriented game too. So, but then we help them on the pricing side of things too. And again, across the board, good revenue increases, for this game. I think we've driven out, a couple $1 million, straight to the bottom line, for them just by making the prices correct, for the game. Harry Potter, Hogwarts Mystery, so very large game, James City. I get this question, what size game? The truth is that it does work better with the larger game, with a larger, revenue base. I mean, the truth is that, in order to measure effectiveness, I do need a certain number of unique payers. Secret number is 25, and you need 25 unique payers on a per country basis. That's enough data for me from data science to do what you need to do in terms of measuring the impact on that. But for them, it's just like again, they're focusing on the more important monetization aspects of the game. And now we work with 14 different Jam City games, but across the board, again, similar story. Chile, 101% increase in revenue. Indonesia, 94%. But again, you look at some of the European countries there too, 62% increase in spend. The high income country, there, but we're driving more revenue there too. IP-based role-playing game. This is WW Champions. This is I like this example too because this is a game that is very social, and 70% of its revenue is in the US. So sometimes I get this question of like, oh, when are my parents going to find out? They're going to go. But the biggest change you're going to do to prices right now, like if these games are live for a while, will be in the first month. And it's in truth, in that first month, maybe some people might notice some price change, but we're talking about trying to improve lifetime value here in the next month. So big change in the first month, another change in second month after that. After 3 months, we consider 3-month kind of calibration period. That's when kind of like, excuse me, normalized, right? At that point, you feel like, yeah, we feel pretty good. We're optimal pricing there too. Again, like I was saying earlier, the poker example, not done. You want to still on a monthly basis go in, manage prices, how is it working, and measure performance results. Because it's actually at that point, probably more 5-10% change, if at all. You may not make a change to a price there, but it's probably more around currency rate changes between countries. So you want to be alert, if a country say devalues, you want to be on top of that, almost right away and responding to that. All right, so we fixed prices in the global base. Again, as I was saying in the beginning presentation, we like to first let's fix our prices on a per country basis across all live SKUs. Everyone in that country going to see the same prices, right? Net impact and positive impact in terms of pair conversion, overall revenue. Are you still leaving money on the table? Fast answer is yes, right? And this is where promotional pricing, comes into consideration. What we want to do here is, so about 30-40% of your revenue, and maybe game's different, I guess, is from special offers. Special offers, those tend to be event-based or time-based, right? So by definition, they're impulse buys, right? You've put them up for some reason, up for someone. The player is going to make a very fast decision on whether or not to make a purchase. It's a great opportunity to move to per user pricing for that. I caution and say, don't start doing dynamic pricing on the full storefront offers. I've had experience doing that. It's not, we all be going to be careful about creating an overall good player positive experience. So I think that's where people might have a negative sort of feeling. Special offers, we all expect sort of something different within a special. That's why it's a special, right? It goes away at some point. So I'm going to share. So this is more about behavioral economics meets psychology. So again, some stuff that for you to consider and what you can do within the game. We working partners. Many of the people do this. Making it more effective is when the machine learning comes in to understand what's the right price. But first thought around personalizing of the special offer itself. Okay, first what we do know as a truth is that free time means more engagement. More engagement means more likely to make a purchase, right? Okay, we all know that. That's true. Because that's why we know that people play more on the weekends. Children play more after school, or we hope so. Yeah, we have I don't know, do we commute anymore? I don't know. Some people might commute now. If we do commute, that's a time when people play. There are times holidays. So we actually capitalize on seasonality, right? And that's not just Black Friday day. I think a lot of people kind of well known because you have to do something, and it's mostly because everyone else is doing something. But just think deeply about holidays, summer months, because those are times when people have more time in the hands, more engagement, great opportunity to get people to make that first purchase within the game. So give someone a special offer. Optimize the content for that around the content itself and creative too, but then going further, what's the right price for someone at the time? Games that fully leverage, so an illustrative example is the holiday season, right? So it's holidays when obviously you see a lot of special offers. If you're fully engaged, fully taking advantage of that holiday season opportunity, which is also a perfect time because a lot of people got new phones anyway, so people like trying things, checking things out. 83% increase in revenue we've seen against annual average from people actually taking advantage of sort of holiday specials to maximum impact. All right, rule number 2, make a special offer timely. I gotta move along. What I mean here is that pinpoint prime time. Prime time, because prime time is popularized by TV broadcasts, right? So that's what, and that's funny enough, so it's 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., decades ago. Funny enough, that still sort of holds true for mobile gaming. So again, it's the free time, so people tend to play more there. We want to go further than that. So if we want to pinpoint prime time on a per user basis, because not all players are created equal, we have different work schedules, different life schedules, people have kids, and prime time not be till 10 p.m. at night, we don't know. But analyzing behavioral data from your game can help you to pinpoint that prime time and target a specific time of game. So that's the data, like how many sessions per day, how long are people playing for, when did someone make a purchase, what time, day of the week, all that data kind of helps inform you. Then as someone new player comes in who exhibits similar characteristics of those previous players that you already analyzed, that helps you to deliver the right offer them. Excuse me. Machine learning models can also help to optimize special offers on a per pricing basis, speeding along, looking at the time. Rule number 3, final offer. I got 10 rules, I only get 3. The make new special offers feel special. So we do know, just like I said in the very beginning of the presentation, a third of your players can come download once, I'm not going to come. All right, what's our job? Convert them to a payer as quickly as possible, right? And that's like things like a first purchase discount. So really that first 3 days is your window when it's critical to get someone over the hump to maybe make that first purchase. It's key for building loyalty. It's key for driving spend and overall lifetime value. So leverage it, let's make a first purchase discount. I'm going to have to go quicker through some of this stuff. The set an IP promotion to run once a user hits the first time. So your game, if you can identify where certain challenge, like when someone hits a certain challenge level or some level within your game, that is also going to be a kicker of joy for someone within their game, right? And so they're having more fun again. So whatever that point, maybe it's level 10, you're in your game. Ideally, you've identified sequential levels beyond that, right? So we know that if someone gets to level 10, for instance, they're more likely to make a purchase. For instance, when your game haven't made a purchase. So if one gets to level 20 and they already are a payer in the game, that's going to be key for dramatically driving lifetime value for within that game. Whatever it is, you want to create promotions that are driving people to the next level. Bundles of negatively correlated goods. I'll explain this one a little bit. This is pretty cool. What we're doing is we're packaging up, creating a bundle of 2 goods that someone would not purchase together. For instance, the medieval fighting game, someone who buys a shield may not buy an armored breastplate, right? Okay, put those 2 items together. let's put them off at a steep price discount, right? They weren't going to purchase these things anyway separately. So they know they wanted one thing. As long as you're making a little bit more, the player gets super excited because you got a great deal. Again, we're talking about impulse buy here. Early in the player's life cycle, they're going to make that purchase. Now they're more engaged in your game, and you're ahead anyway because you weren't going to sell that second item to them anyhow. Message user directly to alert them for a purchase period. This is in the earlier part. So what's key here is that in-game messaging within itself too. You don't want to annoy them with the push notification stuff right away. Comment, push notifications a little bit later, in life cycle can be good, right? We make predictions around churn when someone's on the way out. Someone already is a payer game, pulling someone back into the game with the push can be good. Key point, give them something special, right? Don't just, hey, I missed you, come back. That's lame. Give them something special, offer something to reward them for coming back, right? Always think reward. Players deserve to be rewarded. But earlier cycle, in-game messaging with some sort of special offer. Determine low friction, high value. 71% of all purchases are for single-use items, but 65% of revenue comes from lifetime items, right? So we want to push promotions around some of those lifetime items is what we want to get people. Now, word of caution is don't be too generous, right? Where we were talking about trying to get people to get over the hump to make that first purchase. You don't want to give them so much so they don't make a purchase, because the most important thing is that D7 retention. We want that above 10%. We want, like, within those folks, 10% of those folks to be payers within your game. If it's not hitting those marks, then you may be giving maybe too much stuff away, within the game itself. And I think I'm out of time. Yeah. Thank you very much.